Daniel, when you go back to central banks, do you think now, if we look at the banking crisis and financial conditions and the possibility of a credit crunch that could be actually around the corner, has it done the job for central banks in terms of raising interest rates?
It has. And the sad thing is that Mr. Powell will probably announce today a raise of 0.25 when, in fact, the impact of this credit crunch, this looming credit crunch, the fallout of the banking crisis, is at least 0.75 or 1% in terms of interest rates if you were to compare the impact in terms of credit contraction. And so, again, if he was not driven by financial dogma, he would say, I have enough on the table to believe that the economy will slow down as a result of a credit crunch, and as a result, I don't raise today. But he will raise.
But financial dogma, I mean, is that come into question when he's like at 3 or 4% inflation? I mean, it's high at the moment. When you look at 8%
but inflation is coming down. I mean, all the leading indicators are showing to you that the economy is slowly, is slowing down. And it's just a matter of giving the monetary policy time to have impact on the economy without raising constantly. Now, the fallout from the banking crisis, I think, is important because, I agree that we are not on the verge of a massive run on all the banks, but there will be very, very substantial consequences here. A is consolidation. You're going to see a wave of M&A, particularly in the US, but potentially as well in Europe. The second element is I think you're going to see banks specializing and returning to their roots. The Swiss had nothing to do with investment banking. They should not have touched it. They went for it because they saw themselves as global, competing against Goldman and the others. Big mistake. They just don't know this field. They are now going to return to wealth management, deposits, etc. The Americans have a culture in investment banking, will stay in investment banking. The continental banks are commercial banks, the French banks, the Italian banks. They have nothing to do with investment banking, a little less to do with wealth management, but they can be players in wealth management. So what you're going to see in the next few months, I think, is banks returning to their roots and their DNA. There is such a thing as a DNA of a bank.